Hey folks, gonna do a quick unboxing of one of Mr. Coffee's latest coffee makers, and this is the Wemo. It is a smartphone enabled coffee maker, and that means that you can control it over your Wi-Fi network, and that's pretty much all I know about it. It's a 10-cup coffee maker, so I lied. I know two things about it. Just gonna show you what comes in the box and what it looks like, and then I'll have a review for you after that. So there's a look at the box. So let's see. Removable water reservoir for your coffee using the Wemo app. Hope I'm saying that right. You can schedule the brew. You can monitor the status to find out if coffee is ready to brew, how long it's been brewed, or even to turn off the coffee maker. Water filtration disc. Interesting look. Got a quick start guide, manual. And finally, the coffee maker itself. So really cool look here. And looks like there isn't too much you need to control on the coffee maker itself. Here's the filter basket. So that's what comes in the box. And I'll show you more about coffee maker once I get into the actual review. It comes with a removable reservoir, very easy to remove, so you can add your water simply. The filter basket is here on the side. Pops open like that. This is a water filter holder right here. Comes off like that, and there's your water filter. This water filter is supposed to be replaced every 30 brewing cycles, but I guarantee that 9 out of 10 people don't actually do that. This is, I believe, a number 4 filter is what you need for this, but I'll follow up with that in the annotations of this video. You can see the controls are really simple. Well, as I mentioned, this is integrated with your Wi-Fi network and the Wemo app, which is available for Android and iOS. For the most part, you'll be controlling this coffee maker directly through an app, but if you don't want to do that, then you can simply just press this simple start button. It would be kind of silly to buy this if you weren't intended to use the app. However, the app doesn't really offer a whole bunch of features. If you're thinking, well, I can adjust my brew temperature, change the pre-infusion time, stuff like that, kind of like what the Brazen Plus does, that's not what you're going to get through the app. The app is really just about setting a brew schedule. So this is for the person who really values programmability in their coffee maker, setting a brew timer, and you can have a custom schedule for every day of the week. So say that you wake up at 5 on Mondays and Wednesdays, then you can set the schedule to brew for 4:30 or even 5 a.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays only. And then if you get up at, say, 9 every other day of the week, then you can set it accordingly. And I'll show you how to do that in the app later. It's got some cool little reminders through the app. So if you have a brew schedule like what I just described and your coffee maker does not have water in it the night before, you'll get a friendly reminder from the app. You won't get a reminder, however, to add coffee, but the assumption is that if you're in the process of adding water, then you'll think to add your coffee. So it comes with this thermal carafe, and I'm actually pretty impressed with it. It has this lever here that you just press and pour. I've found that it keeps the coffee hot for a nice long period of time and pours nicely, no drips. The shower head is somewhere inside the unit, so that's not something you really get to see. Many filter baskets come with basically the mechanism to drip the coffee through. I don't even know what you would call it. It's basically in the middle most of the time. This one's off to the side though, so I'm not really sure what the purpose of that was. I've found that the coffee that this guy makes is actually pretty good. Let's do a brew demo of the Mr. Coffee Wemo. While you are mostly going to be using this through your app, the Wemo app, to brew coffee, you can brew in as easy as 3 steps without the app, so you don't have to be dependent on that if you don't want. Although I would say that if you're not using the app and the built-in programmability, there's really no point in owning this coffee maker because that's the main benefit. So, removable water reservoir, clearly labeled indicators. Top comes off like that, so I'm just going to go over to the sink, fill it up. And we'll do 6 cups of coffee for this demo. So you will have noticed, or at least heard, that I went over to the sink and used tap water. There is a built-in charcoal water filter that you are supposed to replace roughly after every 30 brew cycles. So, got my coffee ground. So this slides right back into the side. And then you can see our 1-button setup here. Just go ahead and press that and the coffee will begin to brew. If I remove it, it's going to let me know with a beep. And it will resume by this little beating heart blink. So the whole brew takes about, for 10 cups I've noticed it takes about 6 minutes, so very fast in my opinion. For about 6 cups of coffee, I think it should take somewhere around 3.5 to 4 minutes. So just gonna let you listen to the coffee maker right now. It's very quiet. So just like most coffee makers, this will beep once the brew cycle is complete. In addition to that, your app will notify you when the coffee is ready. So say you live in a big house and you're upstairs and your coffee maker's downstairs and you're too far out of reach to hear the beep of the coffee maker, your app will notify you. We're gonna test out the pour. I'll show you how that works. All right, it's got a little lever, you press and you pour. As you can see, it pours really nicely. And there's our temperature, 157.5. So it looks like the brew cycle wasn't quite complete. And the water may have finished dispensing, but you'll want to keep this in there until it's really finished brewing. So the indicator seems to be a slightly premature indicator. Something we should also be looking out for is drippage. Looks like the plate is dry, so this is something I've found to be the case in all of my tests. No drippage when the carafe is removed, so that's a relief. So you'll notice that this isn't a small coffee maker. Let's just look at the measurements we have here. So it's about 8 inches wide, 14 inches tall, and 10 inches deep. So you'll need some counter space for this guy. Not sure if you can tell here, but I have noticed some mysterious leakage, which I think comes from under the coffee maker. And I've noticed this on multiple brews, so I'm not sure if this is a defect or maybe some kind of condensation. I don't think this is condensation though, because it's kind of significant amount of water. So that's definitely a con. Here's a look at the back of the coffee maker, and you may be wondering why the hell I'm showing you the back of the coffee maker, but here's the handle for the reservoir, useful to know, and I kind of like this feature. There's a little cubby to tuck away the excess cord. This Mr. Coffee has a little extra space, so as I struggle to put that away, there you go. You can see all the coffee is evenly wet, so that's a good sign. Okay, let's take a look at the Wemo app for the Mr. Coffee Brewer. Wemo itself is, I guess, a brand for home appliances where you can sync up these appliances to an app over your Wi-Fi network. So Mr. Coffee integrates with it, and I think different kinds of light fixtures integrate with it, so you can control things all over your house just through the touch of a button on your app. The main benefit of this app is that you can set a brew schedule every day of the week. So if you want your coffee ready at 5:30 a.m. Monday to Friday, you can just have it set to that. If, say, you get up earlier on a Thursday, say at 4:30, and you want your coffee ready by 4:10, then you can change that. You can turn off the schedule for certain days by just selecting and deselecting. So it's really cool. You'll basically have a schedule for brewing coffee every day of the week if you want to. And the app will remind you to refill the water, as you can see here. And if there's anything else that isn't in place, I mean, it's not going to tell you if there isn't coffee in the coffee maker, so that's one thing you'll have to be on top of. And you can also brew directly through the app, so if we didn't want to brew schedule, we could just cycle that off, and then we could tap the icon in the top right, and that would immediately start brewing coffee through the coffee maker. I accidentally did this the first time I was trying to set my schedule, and I couldn't figure out a way to cancel the brew through the app. So be careful when you're using this. And last but not least is the water filter reminder. So you can get a reminder every 30 brews when to replace the water filter in the coffee maker. And you can order directly through the app by tapping on that link. That is the Wemo Mr. Coffee app. I'd say it's very straightforward in terms of how to use it. And the really cool part, my favorite part about this brew schedule thing, is that you never have to set the clock on your coffee maker. There's no fussing around with any clock on the coffee maker itself, which could obviously get out of sync. So wrapping things up, just going to talk about pros and cons. Pros, I love the thermal carafe. I think it does a good job of maintaining the coffee's heat, pours well, and it's a nice welcome change from the Mr. Coffee brand that seems to be shifting away from those hot plates that scorch your coffee. Another thing I like is that you can set a brew schedule. It's really easy to switch it around through the app, easier than it is on many coffee makers by pressing up and down arrows constantly and having to reset it every time you unplug and replug the coffee maker. Finally, I think the app notifications are really helpful for getting you ready to prepare your coffee every night before you go to bed. It's also very fast. I found that it brews in about 4.5 minutes for 5 cups and 6 minutes for a full 10 cups. I think I got 157 degrees Fahrenheit from carafe to cup. You know, this Mr. Coffee really surprised me. So as far as cons go, main thing I don't like about it is the fact that I've been picking up some leaking on the bottom, and that makes me question its overall construction and durability. Is this thing built to last? Well, only time will tell, but since I'm already having problems with it out of the box, then that's not a very good sign. Another thing I don't like is how limited the customizability is through the app. You can only really adjust a brew schedule, and I don't really understand why that's the only purpose of the app. I think it should have offered more customizability, and to make claims like, well, you can make coffee from bed, that's kind of a stretch, because in order to do that, you're going to need water and coffee in the machine already. So, I mean, in order to get your coffee, you're going to have to get out of bed. So, it's kind of a silly selling point as far as I'm concerned. So, really, the limited app in terms of what can be customized. The price point, I think, for that feature, the Brew Schedule, I think is a little steep. It's around $100. That could obviously change over time, but to be paying what seems like at least a $50 premium on an app and Wi-Fi integration, to me is kind of silly. That's just my opinion, though. I know that some people obviously value that feature more than others, and I do have to give the Mr. Coffee Wemo credit, because it's the only coffee maker that I know of at this point that you can customize a different time for the brew every day of the week. To be able to do that through your smartphone is actually cool, because it saves time from having to hit a million buttons every time you plug in the damn machine. So if you like this review, please feel free to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share the review, and of course you're welcome to leave comments or questions right below. Thank you.